What up, y'all? This is Patrick Haize, and I entitled this video Real World Solutions because what I want to go over with you in this video is the new direction of my channel. And I felt like the best way of describing the new direction of my channel in a small title would be Real World Solutions. So I'll get into explaining what I mean by that and getting more detailed about the direction of my channel as I move forward. Okay, so what I did is I wrote this thing. I guess it's like in, I don't know, it's like 1,000 words. It's like an essay, or it's here on my computer. And I want to read it to you because this is a great encapsulation of the intention for the new direction. Now, I call this solution consciousness embodied. So part of how I'd like to shift the direction of the channel is that while I be continuing to play a teacher role when appropriate, I would like to bring the student aspects of myself more to the table, sharing more about what I don't know and what I'm presently exploring. I want to show my own learning and developmental process as to create an environment where we can learn together. This also gives me the opportunity to explore more in real time the things that are presently piquing my interest, as opposed to only sharing those things that I've fully integrated and that I'm ready to teach. And this is really big for me because it's like, up until this point, I don't know why I was doing it this way, but I thought that I had to fully integrate something and then act kind of like an authoritative teacher on the channel. And that idea has been breaking down for a while, but I didn't really know how to make the transition. But how to make that transition has become a lot more clear to me recently. And so, this is, in a sense, like the first step of doing it. Kind of announcing that I'm taking the channel in a different direction. And I'm entitling it New World Solutions. So far, my channel has been primarily about helping people with aspects of their own personal sovereignty. So their psycho-emotional, spiritual self, primarily like, esoteric or metaphysical things, or just for like kind of how to manage your emotions and your internal subjective space. While what I have shared thus far is important and useful, I feel like my efforts could be made drastically more effective by changing my approach. And I'm hereby directing the focus of my channel towards 3 general themes. The first theme being individual sovereignty. And how I mean individual sovereignty in this sense is, let's see where I wrote it here. Okay, so here it is. So personal sovereignty. In this context, I mean the ability to observe and make clear sense of the world and the ability to make good decisions. So essentially this comes back to things like emotional balance, intellectual sharpness, psychological health, physiological health, stuff like that. So, individual sovereignty, this would be the first of the 3 directions or general themes. The second being education and innovation in regards to world solutions, to real world solutions. So, and I'll get more into that in a second. The third one being collective coherency. And what I mean by this is basically like coming together as collectives, right? So, in order for us to truly embody solution consciousness and be active agents for the kind of change in the world that is necessary, we must educate and structure ourselves holistically. Ultimately, we're going to need new world systems set in place relatively soon if we want humanity to survive and thrive. And what I mean by this is not in a doom and gloom way, like, oh, it's all falling apart, oh no, we're all doomed, but like in a, it's all falling apart, we better get our shit together and set in place some functional solutionary frameworks so that when it does fall apart, that there's like a safety net to catch us, right? So for this to happen, there needs to be a fundamental behavioral shift of sufficient quality in enough human individuals that it can effectively scale to the level of collectives, right? And this shift must also be collectively embodied enough for these collectives to efficiently set in place a stable transitionary structure of civilization, right? So basically we need enough of us doing something that's functional in order for there to be a safety net available, right? So we need to work on ourselves enough so that we evolve ourselves enough so that we can actually work together as like a collective that's evolved. And this is something that people are aspiring to, but it's not something that's been actualized to the degree that it needs to be actualized to really ensure that we'll have a safe transition to the new world. Okay, you can't depend on aliens, can't depend on a coronal mass ejection to save us, right? This is, I'm open to those things happening, but I feel like it's kind of birthed out of a space of avoidance or a delusionary oversimplification that people will invest themselves fully into these kinds of like, we will be saved ideas. So I think it's really important for us to actually do the work and like build this thing like with our hands and our hearts, right? I think that's important. So in order for us to play our part in the shift, in other words, to be effective embodied agents of change, we're going to need to cultivate some important characteristics in all three of the following categories. And these are the three directions that I want to bring the channel, or that I'm bringing the channel. One, individual sovereignty. We're going to need to develop a level of individual sovereignty sufficient to navigate our reality effectively with a certain level of grace and clarity. This includes developing things like emotional balance, intellectual sharpness, and physiological health, etc. Much of what I'll be sharing on my channel are the insights that I've gained over the last decade of studies regarding tools and techniques for development and cultivation of the objective and subjective self. So the objective self here meaning the biological brain-body self, and the subjective meaning the internal psycho-emotional self. This is the things that I've kind of been playing the teacher role, explaining so far in my channel. I'm going to guide them a little bit more specifically to the agenda, which will become more clear and is already probably kind of clear. And I will specify a lot of the learning tools to be more in alignment with the direction that this channel is taking. So like the mission statement, right? One of the things I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be releasing relatively soon, with the next month or two, I'm going to be releasing a course. It's only $67, and it's going to be basically an amalgamation and a really simple yet really powerful set of principles and practices that help us to fully embody ourselves, step up fully to the world, and be active agents for, or basically the prerequisite necessities for us to be able to step in to our role as active agents of solutionary consciousness. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be releasing that soon. These tools and techniques that I'm going to be sharing directly assist in the cultivation of our personal sovereignty. So personal sovereignty meaning in this context the ability to observe and make clear sense of the world and to make good decisions. Okay, now the second direction that I want to bring this channel is, my arm is getting tired carrying this, is education and innovation of world solutions. So we're going to need to be very clear both individually and collectively about what needs to be done in the world, right? We're going to need to inform ourselves about all the critical cofactors, economic, environmental, technological, sociological, physiological, etc., that contribute to the complex landscape that we're navigating through. We're going to need to be clear about all these things and understand all these things to a sufficient degree if we plan on actually implementing new world infrastructures that are going to help the world shift, right? Obviously. So this will require us to educate ourselves on a wide variety of topics and invest the necessary time and effort to understand the complexity of the human ecosystem, right? Our problems and our potential solutions must be well understood. We must be willing to explore new innovative solutions on both individual and collective levels. Individually, this may look like solving our emotional instability issues, evolving our value structures, or filling in gaps of awareness regarding important world issues. Now, collectively, this may look like healing our relationships with others and overcoming community fragmentation by developing interpersonal skills and the capacity to work with others in a harmonious and coherent fashion, right? Now, the third direction is collective coherency. Now, we're going to need to come together to form collectives that actively work to solve these problems. And some of these collectives have already been formed. There's people doing stuff like this. But it's going to need to happen a lot more for us to really make the shift. So these collectives must pursue their specific solutions with clarity and precision while retaining a sufficient level of both internal coherency, so coherency between the internal members in the set collective, and a higher order coherency also, so coherency between their set collective and other collectives throughout this entire solutionary ecosystem, right? So the significance of this kind of collaborative unity can be interpreted through the lens of evolutionary biology as a kind of fractal higher order complexity that resembles the evolutionary jump from single-celled organisms to multi-celled organisms. So, there's a point in our evolution where, a bunch of single-celled organisms were fighting over resources, and the resources were too scarce for those single-celled organisms to survive as single-celled organisms. So the ones that actually survived and moved forward were the ones that learned how to create multi-celled organisms and work as collectives. And I feel like in like a fractal, higher order complexity of fractalization, that's what we're going through right now, where single-celled humans, right, we're multi-celled organisms, but like humans thought of as a single cell for each individual human is going to need to merge with other humans and create collectives that operate as a higher emergent whole, right? So it's like we come together as collective intelligence beings that move with coherency between us. I think this is extremely important for us to survive. This is the, I think this in many ways is like the nature of the evolutionary transition that we're going through right now. It's like coming together, right? So, while I do have potent and valuable insights that I can assist us in regarding our personal sovereignty, i.e. subjective tools for managing thoughts, emotions, perspectives, etc., I'm not in any way claiming to have all the answers here. I do not have all the answers at all. I do not believe that any one person does either. But with that said, I will again mention that my role here is shifting from full-time teacher to part-time student, part-time teacher, part-time partner, and a part-time leader. You can check out my Omni-Frequency song for more of that. But it fits really clearly with what I'm talking about here. So while I'll continue to teach in the areas of self-help that I've sufficiently integrated, I'll be venturing beyond my scope of understanding to incorporate you, the viewers, in my exploration process. So a lot of what I'll be presenting will be the new information that I'm presently analyzing, right? So it'll be, I'll also be sharing a lot of content from other people. I'll be splicing in maybe, little blurbs of other people talking or talking about, or sharing different essays or reading essays that other people have written, right? The stuff that I feel is appropriate or important for us to consider. And I'll be discussing my evolving ideas and thoughts regarding humanity's present situation and the potential solutions that may be possible. See, what happened was I realized, what up, lost you guys for a second because the battery died. I was not on my battery game, so I hooked it back up, but the good news is I can slow down a little bit because I'm not racing the battery clock. So, yeah, I left off somewhere around, I'll be sharing a lot of content from other people. So I'm going to be sharing different essays and different, different video clips of other people. I'll probably even have some interviews come on. It'll be cool. We'll explore together. And I'll be discussing my evolving ideas and thoughts regarding humanity's present situation and the potential solutions that may be possible. So my belief is that we must develop a true collective intelligence if we're going to navigate this turbulent curve of ever-increasing change and complexity with any measure of gracefulness. Therefore, I'm dedicating my efforts to populating this channel with the content that I find to be most relative and pertinent to humanity in an attempt to bring clarity to what needs to be done and how to do it. My hope is also that, along with other people, that I can, with many other people, I can help facilitate a coherency between us that leads to a collective embodiment of solutionary consciousness and that helps to catalyze the kind of unified efforts that are necessary for humanity to successfully transition to a new thriving world. I'm going to set this down now because it's actually a lot to carry. Next time I do that, I'll probably do it on like a counter or something. But anyway, so that's the gist of it. I really want to, take the channel in a really practical and like pragmatic direction. So like, how can we really work together and create this change? And so it's really exciting for me because I can kind of step out of my teacher role and express to you where I'm at in the moment and what I'm excited about. The kind of realization that I had recently was that like, shit, this thing is so complex. There's so much craziness going on and I don't know what the hell to do with it. I mean, I have some good ideas in certain areas and I can help people with their own personal development, but it's like what we need to do as a collective, how we need to rise up in order to like shift the things that we need to shift. Just even looking at the countdown on the ecological clock, right? So in order to shift the things that we need to shift before, the ecology like creates an uninhabitable planet, before we create an uninhabitable planet by ruining the ecology. Like that's like, it's crazy. I mean, how many people actually know like what we need to do by when to prevent the coral reefs from dying, right? And then what happens when the coral reefs actually die? I'm sure there's people that do know that, but I don't think enough people collectively know that. And I realized I didn't know the answer to a lot of these things. And so it's like, you know, the stuff that needed to be talked about most, I hadn't integrated solutions for. So how could I come forward as a teacher and teach about these things? I had to actually, you know, come forward as a student and be like, let's explore this together. So hopefully that explains everything, you know, in general that I'm trying to do in the direction that I'm going here. And yeah, all I can say is thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm stoked to go on this explorative adventure with you. So this is Patrick Haize. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you want to jump on this train and you know, be part of the solution, we're going to be exploring that together. So yeah, much love, and I'll talk to you next time. If you liked the video you just saw and you want to support me in bringing more content like that to you, donate to my Patreon page. There's a link pinned in the comments below, and when you donate to the page, you get access to all sorts of cool giveaways like exclusive content, free music downloads, monthly group chats with me, and more. Now, every single donation that comes in goes directly to improving the quality and the quantity of my content. So thanks so much for your support, and I'll see you on the flip side.